7:05, so we're going to get started. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending. In the name of the state of Maine, you are hereby required to notify and warn the inhabitants of the town of Newcastle and the said county and state, qualified by law to vote in town affairs, to meet at the Lincoln Academy Gymnasium at 81 Academy Hill on Monday, the 13th of May, AD 2024 at 7 p.m. Then and there to act upon Article 1 by written ballot and Article 2 to be voted by in an open town meeting. Article 1 is to elect the moderator by written ballot to preside at said meeting. Somebody needs to nominate.
I nominate Lorraine.
Okay.
Lorraine, sorry, your last name.
Faraday.
Yeah.
What's your last name, Lorraine? Okay.
There we go.
You just taking it? Taking it.
All right, Lorraine has been voted in as moderator. All right, Lorraine. Do you, Lorraine Faraday, swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and of this state, so long as you shall continue to be a citizen thereof? Okay, keep going. Okay, and do you swear that you will faithfully discharge to the best of your ability the duties incumbent on you as moderator of this special town meeting according to the Constitution and the law of the state of Maine? So help you God.
I will. Larry, we're getting a lot of backup here, in case you didn't know. Well, try to stop me. No, I got my things. Okay, well, good evening. Large crowd. Very nice. Welcome to the voters and others. If you've all signed in, you should have a clicker thing. And the exits are, just a minute, the exits are here, 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 and here. So I'm supposed to tell you where the restrooms are, but I have no idea. I assume they're outside. Oh, I'm getting a sign out there. Okay. In order to vote, you must be a registered voter in Newcastle, and also you need to be a registered or a resident of the town to speak. So the first thing I'm going to do is ask for, well, if you haven't done it, turn off your cell phones or pagers. Second of all, if we could have a motion to allow non-residents to speak. I know your town manager and Mr. Drum, for example. We get a minute for non-residents to speak to the issue if I'm going to request okay, a second? Okay, all those in favor? So I can do that by hand. Okay, and Ben, we have an amendment to the warrant already.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to amend the warrant. Apologize, we forgot to include the article for using the electronic keypads for voting tonight, so it's a two-part process to amend the warrant. I'm making a motion to amend the warrant to include this: shall the town utilize remote electronic keypad voting as the method of voting for all town articles at this special town meeting this May 13th, 2024 special town meeting, so that we can use these keypads. And then after that.
And we need a second on that
Correct.
motion, please. Okay. All right, any discussion on that? All right, seeing none, we're going to do a hand vote. All those in favor of using the clickers? All right. All those opposed? Motion carries.
All right, thank you. I'll go through a short demonstration for anyone who's not familiar with how to use these, so bear with me. Okay, the first most important thing is please return the clickers. They are very important. Shelley and Michelle will be back there. They checked you in. If you are a Newcastle resident and you can vote at the meeting, you have one of these. Next thing to know is that the 1A button is for voting yes. The button 2B is for voting no. You can mash the buttons as much as you want. The last button you push will be the vote that is counted. So you can change your mind. It's not a one and done. As a matter of fact, if you want to vote yes repeatedly, go ahead. It's only going to count your vote once. If you want to vote no repeatedly, it's only going to count your vote once. And then we'll do a test question here in just a second. You'll see in the upper right corner of the screen, I might have to move it, there'll be a little green rectangle. You need to wait for that to turn green. It should be green when it comes up in order to start hitting the button. You'll look at your clicker. You'll see just above the button for 1A, there's a little tiny LED indicator light. When you hit the button, it'll turn green. It'll stay green. It may be quick. It'll stay green until it registers your vote with the machine up here, and then it'll turn off. It may flash red too. That's okay. If you're uncertain, keep mashing. It's totally fine. So we're going to do a test question here. Light is green. Go ahead and vote. Are you eagerly awaiting the return of black fly season? And you can see as you press the light, mine stayed green for a little while. Very simple. 66, 67, 70 people have voted, 74. We try to get everybody on this first one so that we know how many people we got in the room. You don't have to vote if you don't want to. 76, so I'm going to call it good there. I hit stop, and then it shows who said yes. All right, so it's simple. That's how it works. Easy peasy. So in order to authorize this as the voting mechanism for town meeting, for this special town meeting, we need to take another hand vote in just a second. I just wanted to say that it's completely anonymous. It's not tracked. We don't know who's voting what. And if you have any questions, now's the time. Great.
Vote on it again?
We do need to vote it out because the first one was to add it to the warrant. The second one is to authorize the.
Missed the vote there. All right. All those in favor of using the clickers? All right. Anybody opposed? All right. Motion carries. Okay. All right. So, shall the town enact a moratorium ordinance prohibiting the review, consideration, or issuance of any permits or approvals for any applicant seeking to have a use or business that buys, sells, or trades in firearms while the town considers municipal zoning and land use regulations regulating the location of such uses? I need to have a motion to approve this. So moved, and second? Okay, second, okay. We are now open for discussion. Ben, since you're popping up here.
Sorry, I'm talking a lot tonight. My name is Ben Fry. I am the chair of the planning board. I wanted to give everyone a little bit of background about why we're here tonight and the events that unfolded to get us here. So I've got a little written thing prepared. I'm going to read it, and hopefully it'll help clarify any of those questions. In mid-April, town staff were contacted by the ATF, which is the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, regarding the firearms dealer license application. The ATF was inquiring whether the town has any zoning regulations prohibiting the sale of firearms in proximity to schools. While the staff was initially surprised to learn that there are no federal or state regulations, we became aware that our own zoning codes do not address this either. As the planning board chair, staff brought this to my attention as we would likely receive an application at some point in the future. In turn, I chose to inform the select board and ask them to call a special town meeting, this meeting, to allow our full legislative body to make a decision about how and whether or not we should address this issue. And that's why we're here tonight. State of Maine law regulates the sale of alcohol, tobacco, marijuana, but firearm sales have been left to the municipalities. Additionally, our core zoning code defines adult establishments and places limits on their proximity to schools and places of worship. I want to be very clear. This is not about prohibiting firearms sales. It's about whether or not this community desires regulations around firearm sales, specifically in close proximity to schools. This is the crux of the question that we're talking about tonight. So to repair this, if this is what this body wants to do, it requires an update to our zoning code. That process takes several months because of noticing requirements, meeting schedules, leading to a final vote by the residents of Newcastle at a town meeting or a special town meeting. In Newcastle, just like in many other towns in Maine, the residents who attend town meetings serve as the legislative body and make the final decision on many topics, including ordinances. So you are the legislators tonight. So what is a moratorium? And this is a little confusing. A moratorium is an ordinance or a local law that hits the pause button on a specific issue or community concern to give the staff, appointed officials, elected officials, time to develop a response for future consideration. A moratorium sunsets after 6 months. It can be extended an additional 6 months by the select board. It can also be rescinded once a solution is found and approved at a town meeting. The moratorium ordinance presented tonight is fairly boilerplate and includes language that state law requires. Some of that can sound a little scary. We have our town attorney here with us to help with any of that language tonight if there are questions. And that's about it. Thank you very much.
Speak. Please state your name and some part of your address and what town you live in. So for example, I would say Lorraine Faraday, Elm Street, Damariscotta. I mean, I'm, okay. If we could try to have the Newcastle people go first, residents, if there are other people, other towns. So it's, someone would like to speak to this issue. Seem to be a lot of people. I assume somebody wants to speak to it. Ma'am, go ahead, go. You don't have to touch the mic or anything, it'll pick you up.
My name is Mary Lou Daxlin. I live at 33 Sheepscot River Way. The moratorium violates Maine's preemption laws and restricts economic development in the town. Because of this violation, the town of Newcastle has no such authority to impose such a moratorium. The state preemption law makes it clear that the state has occupied the entire field of firearms regulations, subject only to very limited exceptions. The law states that no political subdivision, including but not limited to municipalities, counties, townships, and village corporations, may adopt any order, ordinance, rule, or regulation concerning the sale, purchase, and purchase delay, transfer, ownership, use, possession, bearing, transportation, licensing, permitting, registration, taxation, or any other matter pertaining to firearms. And that is Maine Statute Title 25, Internal Security and Public Safety. The only exemptions are for an order, ordinance, rule of regulation, or any political subdivision which, with the exemption of appropriate civil penalty provisions, conforms exactly with any applicable provision of state law or which regulates the discharge of firearms within a jurisdiction. The proposed moratorium does not fall into this narrow exception. Passing this moratorium would be illegal under state law and would not survive a legal challenge. We don't need another taxpayer-paid legal case. The firearms industry in Maine contributes nearly $660 million annually to the state's economy, employs more than 3,800 Mainers, and pays over $43 million in state taxes. By refusing this robust industry to operate in Newcastle, the town will be blocking jobs, revenue, and economic development in the town. The proposed moratorium is illegal and would hurt our community's economy.
Anyone speaking for it or wish to speak?
So I'm Peter Drum, the town attorney. The specific statute, I'm sorry, I missed your name.
Maine statute title.
No, what's your name, ma'am?
Mary Lou Dax.
That Ms. Dax spoke to regards the use of firearms, okay? So Newcastle cannot have an independent regulation that citizens can't carry concealed. They can't have a regulation that says you can't fire a gun within 1,000 feet of a house because the state law calls for, I think it's 300 feet of a house. It's the use of the firearm that Title 25 governs. It does not govern the location of a retail use to sell guns.
Other speakers? Sir?
David Levesque, 30 Glidden Street. I'm just wondering if we could get a little bit more information on the timeline that if this moratorium was passed, how long would it take to enact the regulations that are looking to be discussed at least? Would it actually, would something be in place within 6 months to a year?
Yeah, go ahead. That's right, you have a mic right there.
My name's Kevin Sutherland. I'm the town manager here in Newcastle. I'll just say that my intent is to have this addressed within 6 months, at the time frame of the moratorium. And again, if it does take longer due to unforeseen circumstances, I can ask the select board to extend it for another 6 months, but it would be done within that time frame.
And would other safeguards, other than just proximity to schools, be considered?
I don't think that's the intent of this moratorium.
But it's not just one safeguard that will be considered?
It could be. I think what I would do is work with staff to identify things in our zoning code that we need to clean up and maybe propose several warrants, but this is specifically about this issue. There's just the issue of proximity to schools.
Oh, yes. And despite there being a moratorium, and maybe the town attorney can address this, that doesn't prevent somebody from getting a dealer's license federally, does it?
No.
So I'm not a firearms attorney, but I believe that a federal firearms license is site-specific, and so it would impact someone getting a new license as a federal firearms dealer during the moratorium. It would not, obviously, afterwards. You know, there was consideration about, you know, how to do this. Like, could we pick a zone, you know, that we wanted to kind of control, and we went with the simple language, and you know, that was the decision of the town. So I think that it would fairly stop a new federal firearms license from happening during the moratorium, but obviously afterwards, whatever the regulation is, it would only limit it in that zone, probably, unless there are other safeguards, as long as they don't interfere with Title 25. Okay.
With someone that already has a dealer's license.
Yeah, so it doesn't prohibit the sale of firearms, right? So there are a couple of federal firearms dealers already in Newcastle. Both of those businesses could continue to operate. They operate freely now, and they would continue to do so. And if there were, you know, let's say one of them was close to, you know, let's say we say 500 feet of Lincoln Academy. Let's say one was in that zone where it's within 500 feet. They would actually be a pre-existing non-conforming use, and so they could continue the use.
Right. Anyone else? Who thought?
So hi, my name is Jeff Burrows. I live right across the street, 92 Academy Hill, and I'm the head of school here at Lincoln Academy. And I support this moratorium with the full understanding the town is going to vote on these policies for us at a further town meeting, right? So I think it's an important thing that we have a conversation about what should we do around schools, right? I'm the only school right now that's affected by this, and I think it's an important conversation to have. And so this pause allows the opportunity for folks to come to us, the citizens, and say, here's what we suggest, and we'll all get back together and vote on it again. But I think we do a lot of good things in schools, and we do a lot of things to try to protect those environments that are within a certain part of certain range of schools. And I think we should take this opportunity to do that as a town. So I'm supportive of the moratorium.
Thank you. Anyone else? Well, I think we're probably ready to vote on the question then, if there's no other comments. All right. Hearing none. Article 2, to enact a moratorium. All those in favor? This is... Okay. Or opposed. I'm sorry. I'm so used to doing hand votes. Okay. Last chance to change your mind?
3, 2, 1.
All right. 90% to 10%, so 71 to 8, the motion carries. And you have no other business, right? So, okay, need a motion to adjourn? Ben, in a second? Tor, okay. I don't know, the selectmen only vote on that? Hearing no objection. All right, don't forget to turn your clickers in, and thank you for coming.